All right. All right, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. 8 a.m. on the dot. We're back. Friday, we were back, but like technically Monday, we're officially back. Now we're back to the Monday through Friday. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you very much for hanging out here on the channel. What's today? Monday, September 29th. Media Day today begins. The NBA is back. Officially, the NBA is back. You can basically say that around the league today. Now it's the 10-month grind begins. By the way, it's just a phenomenal 10 months. No complaining over here. Cheers to everybody. Hope everybody's enjoying their cup of coffee. We're wrapping up here. We're close to 1 year on Monday through Friday on YouTube here. I think later this week we'll get to 1 year. So appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for being a part of the show. If you guys don't mind, please subscribe to the channel. If a lot of people forgot, where the hell's Al? Came back on Friday and started doing the show on Friday. Same thing, just kind of very similar to how we did last year. Did the show, cut some clips, put them up over the weekend. Appreciate all the comments that were out there. People giving love to the channel. People excited to talk NBA again. So thank you very much for doing so. Got a number of different topics today. And then once the show ends, I'll get a little bit of work done, and then I'll head out to El Segundo. So I'll be there for a media day today. So looking forward to that. And then we'll get back to hopefully, get a little bit closer. Friday is going to be the first preseason game. So we'll do a post-game show on Friday. And now we'll have some stuff to actually react to, see the new version of Luka, Ayton, see all these guys. So that's going to be fun. All right, comments. I see them all here. I'm going to get to them in just a second. I'll do that in just a little bit here before the show starts, and then we'll go from there. Topics. Lay out these topics for everybody here. ESPN put out their biggest question marks for each team in the NBA. And you won't be surprised what the question mark is around the Lakers. By the way, I think most Laker fans don't care about the topic that ESPN has as far as the biggest question mark, but that's okay. I think in itself just kind of gives you an idea of how the country looks at the Los Angeles Lakers and how Laker fans look at the Los Angeles Lakers. You guys will know what I mean once I get into it, but they did it for every single team out there. And then I'll let you guys know, obviously what that looks like. And that will certainly be one of the topics. I put out, part of my topics on Friday was the starting five. Guys, I think I got my starting five. I know it's very early here. I know we don't need a starting five this early, but it has been such a discussion around Lakers basketball, really since the Lakers finished preseason basketball. Since they finished free agency, everybody's got an opinion on what they think the starting five is going to be. I'm just going to give you guys mine. I think I have come to a conclusion of the starting five that I think the Lakers should roll out when they start the season in whatever that is, third week of October or whatever the case is. You guys can let me know your thoughts about that. You can complain about it. You could say, Al, you're an idiot. Whatever you guys say. We're going to start. I'm going to give you guys my starting five, which I will tell you, it's not chalk. It's not going to be just the regular starting five that I think most people are throwing out there. Options for Austin Reaves. There were a couple interesting articles over the weekend on Austin Reaves. Here's something I'm going to ask Laker fans. I'm going to ask, most of the audience out there. I'm going to lay out a couple different scenarios for Austin Reaves. And I want you guys to basically tell me which one makes the most sense for the Lakers. And that's, that's everything from play out this season before giving him a contract. It's extend him and pay him $35 million a year. And it's trade him. So I'm going to play out all those scenarios. And I do want to hear what you guys, obviously have to say. I mean, listen, in a few hours, I'm sure this question is going to come up in regards to Austin Reaves and, his name being thrown around a lot in the offseason of potentially trade scenarios and everything else. And then there was an NBA writer that had a specific player that I think is very interesting on Austin Reaves. We'll get into that as well. Expectations for DeAndre Ayton. I want to spend a little time on Ayton. I got a couple things on Rui Hachimura that I'll spend a little bit of time with. And then I got a ton of NBA news. A lot of it on Jonathan Kuminga, Al Horford, Jason Tatum, a couple different players out there, Embiid. and then we'll do the weekend recap, and we'll call it a day. So thank you all for hanging out. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Let's take a look at some of the comments here as we get started and go from there. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see what people are saying here. Most curious to see how JJ looks in year 2. He's you know what? Let's do this. Let's star this bad boy, and I'm going to come back to it. I'll come back to you. I appreciate it. I think that's actually an interesting topic on its own. Chris, throwing out a quick quote here. It is better to fail in originality than to succeed in imitation. Chris, phenomenal stuff, brother. I appreciate you sharing that. Ocean Breeze, like, what the hell are you doing? I do the quotes here. You cannot swim for new horizons until you have courage to lose sight of the shore. Damn, phenomenal right there. Working out plus listening to Slee equals muscles. Get that creatine in, bro. Get some whey protein in there. What are your macros looking like right now? I'll do 10 push-ups right now. I might do 15 push-ups. I might have to put one knee down for the final 5. But you bet your ass I'll do it. All right, I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for being here. Okay, let's get the show started. Biggest question marks around the NBA. Biggest question marks for each team. So I mentioned ESPN. Well, let me first just say this. Let me kind of start off the show with this. Media day today. What does that mean? It's the official start to the NBA season. So, for the Lakers, and it's not just going to be Lakers. I think some teams already started. I want to say some teams started on Friday, but obviously Lakers do it. Lakers always do it on a Monday. Get a chance today. You're watching Spectrum Sportsnet, or I'm sure the Lakers will be doing it on YouTube. ESPN will be doing it on YouTube. I mean, everywhere you look, any local presence down there, you're going to get a chance to see a lot of players being interviewed. You're going to get a chance to see, for the first time, the media ask questions to DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart and Jake LaRavia. Not that some of that hasn't already happened, but officially, season's about to start. Training camp is going to start tomorrow. It's the official start of the NBA season for most of the teams out there. And I think just for the league in general, there is no kind of 2-month hiatus, which is really the only 2 months that you have. So it's going to set the expectations for the season. So when I come back tomorrow and I get ready to do a show, it's not just going to be tomorrow, but probably for most of this week, we're now going to have clips, sound bites that we can hear from some of the players. Oh, this player said this. That's interesting. Oh, this is the expectation here. That's interesting. So media day today is a big day for the league and for the NBA. And obviously for big NBA fans, that's going to have a lot to do with it. So ESPN had an article out there. Biggest questions for each team. Okay. So the reason why, this is my personal opinion. The reason why I have some interest in a topic like this is primarily, more than anything else. For me, it's more, okay, well, what are people saying about the Lakers going into the season? Every team's going to be different. I'll give you guys a couple examples. The biggest question mark for the Boston Celtics, what is Boston's objective this season? All right, what are they talking about? Talking about, well, they sold off on a lot of their players. Jason Tatum, will he have a chance to come back this year? Is this a year where they just kind of throw it away and then figure it out from there? Every team's got a question. Let me kind of keep going down here. I'm going to read a couple of these. The Cavs, can the Cavs get over their playoff bump? Dallas, when does Kyrie Irving come back and how soon can he get back to form? Denver, will the Nuggets' depth and defense be enough to win an NBA championship? So everybody's got a question. And most of these questions, honestly, are basketball related. All right, let's get to the Lakers. If I ask you guys here, and I'll read some of the comments before I read it. What do you think? Now, remember, ESPN, this is from a national perspective. What do you think the biggest question mark for the Los Angeles Lakers coming into this season is for ESPN? What do you think it is? Because I can throw out some. Do you think it's Luka and a chance for MVP? Is it Austin Reaves and his contract and what this year is going to be like for him? Is it DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart, what those two players are going to be? Is it the second year of JJ Redick as a head coach? New ownership, how much impact are they going to have? I just named 5 off the top of my head. Which one do you think it is? Which one do you think it is? I think Brian knows what he's talking about here. The biggest question mark ESPN has for the Los Angeles Lakers in the 2025-2026 season. Will this be LeBron James' last season with the Lakers? That's the biggest question mark. I mean, this year is going to have to play out. We wouldn't even know until the summer. He's not getting traded at the trade deadline. So the biggest question mark that ESPN has for the Los Angeles Lakers going into the season has nothing to do with this season. Will this be LeBron James' last season with the Lakers? Guys, this just gives you a great idea of how people, I think, view the Los Angeles Lakers. They view them not as does this team got a shot to compete for a championship? They don't view them as LeBron and Luka, and what can these two guys do together with a full season under their belt? They don't view them as a 50-win team that was number 3 in the Western Conference standings last year. How can they build off of that? They view the Lakers as, what's LeBron going to do in July? Well, what happened to October and November and December and the rest of the year? Apparently nothing happened. It's all going to be about LeBron James this year and what he's going to do, obviously moving forward. Listen, I kind of find it funny, if I'm going to be honest with you. I find it funny for the reason that I just mentioned. I find it funny because there are so many other things that I want to have the attention of this upcoming Lakers season, but from a national perspective, they're not looking at the Lakers that way. They're looking, and listen, I get it. I mean, whether you guys like it or not, part of the game is drama. Part of the game is the storylines. The biggest name in the NBA still to this day is LeBron James, but that's their biggest question mark coming into the season. I got some bigger question marks for the Lakers if we're just talking basketball. So by the way, I like the topic because the topic for me, I don't think the biggest question mark is whether LeBron's still a Laker in July. Frankly, we'll let the season play out and go from there. But I think what it did do is it sparked a little bit of, okay, well, what are the biggest topics for people who are actually going to watch Lakers basketball for 7 straight months and are going to be analyzing each game, analyzing each, possession or post game or whatever the case. By the way, this isn't even like a criticism towards ESPN or anything like that, because I think a lot of people are looking at the LeBron story as that's exactly what it is. This is LeBron going to be a Los Angeles Laker by the time next season comes. I'm worried about other things. And LeBron, to be honest with you, whatever happens there, happens there. And I'll worry about it after the Lakers are eliminated from the playoffs if they're not winning an NBA championship. I'll give you my biggest storylines and questions coming into the season. For me, the thing that I care most about, and I'll look at some of these comments here in just a second. I know they're rolling in, and I know people have their opinion on it. And by the way, if you think the biggest storyline is LeBron, that's okay. That's fair. You can make your case for it, and I'll read it as we go. For me, here's some of the biggest topics coming into this season. All right. One of those topics to me is Pelinka spent an offseason really just trying to work around the edges. He didn't go out there and make a big splash at with some type of a trade. He didn't go out there and sign a big time free agent. He didn't go out there and make some big, bold move, but I do feel like he addressed what he needed to address as far as some of the roster goes. For me, is Ayton going to be DeAndre Ayton? Are we going to be watching Laker games night in and night out and saying, damn, this dude was the number 1 pick? What a bum. Or are we going to be watching DeAndre Ayton and saying to ourselves, this dude was the number 1 pick and he's starting to look like it? Damn, Ayton's having an unbelievable impact on the Lakers this season. Wow, look at the way Marcus Smart is playing. Man, this reminds me of back of the days when he used to be grinding for the Boston Celtics and they were competing for NBA championships and he was in the thick of that. And he was just a phenomenal player that complemented whatever your team needed. Jake LaRavia, was that a good signing, or why the hell didn't they bring back DFS? Rui Hachimura contract year, Austin Reaves contract year. There are a lot of topics that I'm going to be looking at this upcoming season way before LeBron, because I think what LeBron does on the floor is really the only thing that matters to me. And LeBron's still a top 10 player in the league. But I think there are just so many more interesting conversations if you're just paying attention to a specific team. If you're taking a 30,000 foot scope and you're looking from that perspective, okay, then maybe LeBron can be a topic. I mean, I saw this. There was an article. This was actually on Stephen A. Smith's podcast. Okay. Stephen A. Smith obviously does all his work for ESPN, but he also has a very successful podcast as well. Again, this just goes back to look how people are viewing the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't hear anybody talking about where can this team finish in the Western Conference. Maybe when the season starts, this will just all become, less of a story, less of a topic. But I'm not hearing. I'll hear some things about Luka, MVP caliber type of season. What's it going to look like with him? But again, an example. Here's Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith talking on his show. Here's what he says about LeBron. If I were LeBron, and clearly I'm not, I'd strongly consider going back to Cleveland. Guys, it's September 29th, and we're already talking about LeBron playing out this year, getting to free agency, not negotiating anything with the Los Angeles Lakers, and ending up in Cleveland. We're doing that on September 29th. Let me finish what Stephen A. said. He said, I think that LeBron James has a better shot at winning a championship if he were back in Cleveland with Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley and those boys than if he stayed in L.A. Okay, this is Stephen A. Smith's job is not to go break down whether Jake LaRavia is going to be a good offseason signing. Stephen A. Smith's job is let me find what I think is the best topic from a national scope, and that's what I'm going to run with. And that's what I think the national media is going to run with, at least to start off the season, is what's LeBron going to do? What's LeBron going to do? What's LeBron going to do? So all these other teams got different questions. Can the Bucks become a contender again with Giannis? That seems like a good topic. Are Minnesota's young players ready to step up? For the Lakers is what's LeBron going to do in the 2026-2027 season? All right, let me look at a couple of the comments here. We'll take a look at what people are saying, and we'll go from there. Let's see what we got here. Pelinka usually doesn't go big with his trades. I'd like to see him go in for an upcoming player to pair with Luka. It may take more assets in the pot. I don't know what's going on with Just B, but it's almost like he looked at my notes before the show started, and he's starting to give some ideas of what my topics are going to be. All right, let's see. Let's get a couple more of these in here. Not word. Okay. Let's see. I saw someone put out there that LeBron wanted a new contract, but Lakers didn't want to give him more years. I saw that too. I read something in regards to that on Friday, and we'll see we'll see as the season kind of progresses if that steam gets louder or if it just kind of gets swept under the rug and nobody's paying any more attention to it. If I had to make my guess, I'm probably guessing that there's going to be more conversation around some of this LeBron stuff than there is a lot of this basketball stuff. But I think that all changes once the season starts and the team looks a certain way. Maybe that's going to change from there. Okay, let me do this. I think the final thing I just want to hit on as we go into the season, I want to just kind of, I'm going to keep it at this from a Laker perspective and then go from there. I will just say this. As the season progresses, and I don't know if this is going to happen, is LeBron going to be able to kind of quiet some of the noise, or is LeBron going to kind of add some fuel to the fire? It will kind of start today, because today the conversations are going to come up for LeBron. And is LeBron just going to say, I'm only concerned about this year, I'm not worried about it. Guys, you guys are making something out of nothing. or will it be a different topic and a different story? We'll see. Okay, let's do this. Let's kind of switch gears here. So I just wanted to kind of, start off because I was a fan of the idea and the concept of the biggest question marks for the Lakers. I don't think the biggest question mark is whether LeBron's going to be a Laker in 10 months or 9 months or whatever the case is. I'd rather stick to, well, what do we got going on between now and then before that's a topic and before it's a conversation, but I know will continue to be a topic. Okay, guys, I think I got my starting five. I want some help from my people here. I briefly talked on Friday about the starters, and that only was because JJ Redick said, I'm not telling everybody what the starters are going to be. And it was basically like, I don't have interest in this topic. They had 24 different starting lineups last year out of 82 games. That's absurd. That tells you a lot about, that will tell you a lot about the injuries, the trade that happened. And there's so many different things that went on last year that, certainly from a starter perspective, it almost doesn't matter what he says. It makes more sense to just kind of, all right, when we get towards the beginning of the season, you'll see who my starters are. Let me roll out to everybody here. I'll ask this question. Give me your starting five. I want to read a couple of these, okay? You're the head coach of the Lakers, or you're Rob Pelinka, and you're talking with JJ Redick. What's the starting five for the Lakers? I got mine. I'm going to roll out my starting five. But I want a couple of these comments in here to give me an idea of who your starters are. And then we could kind of compare and contrast here and go from there. So I'm going to look at a few of these and we'll go from there. And then I'll reveal mine. I'm making it like a big reveal here. All right, let's go, Peter. Peter says his starters: Luka, Marcus Smart, LeBron, Rui, and Ayton. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys, my starting lineup, pretty different than that five. I don't mind that starting lineup. On paper, I actually like that starting lineup. My only question that I would have, I don't know where Marcus Smart is in his career. So I've got a little bit of concern on the Marcus Smart part of things. That's my only concern there is I think everything else is legit. I just don't know what Marcus Smart is. And I want to see what training camp looks like. I want to see what preseason basketball looks like. Has this guy lost some steps? Have the injuries had a real effect on him? So I'm curious about that one. All right, let me get another one in here. All right, we got Mission 24. He likes your starting lineup. Here's another one. Luka, AR, LeBron, Rui, and Ayton. I don't want to risk injuring Smart. By the way, if we're already concerned about injuring Marcus Smart, we already got concerns. Okay, there's another one. That one's a little bit different, but obviously a lot of the same there. Okay, here's another one. Luka, Austin, Smart, LeBron, and Ayton. Okay, Chris has got a different one. Let me tell you guys, here's the theme already. A lot of people have different thoughts. No one has guessed my starting five yet, at least what I have in mind. But so far, what I'm looking at, what everybody has in there, I think it's very apparent that everybody kind of has a different thought or a feeling of what that starting five should potentially look like, which shows you Lakers are going to have some options. I mean, maybe it would be better if we just all knew, yep, that's the starting five, and there's just no question about it. But this just gives you an idea. So Chris has another one. Okay, so somebody's got my starting five. Let me start this one here real quick. I'll go back to that in just a second. Okay, a couple people now got my starting five. All right, let me show you guys my starting five. All right. Here's my starting five. As we sit here on Monday, September 29th, if I had to throw you guys a starting five, I think this is what I'm rolling with. Okay, I got a couple people that have this. Seiko's got this as well. Let me make my case real quick here for the starting five. All right, let me make my case. And then this is going to lead me into an Austin Reaves conversation, which I think maybe will tell a little bit full story here where I'm going. Yes, having Luka and AR in the backcourt together should fear a lot of people from a Laker perspective because of defense. You don't have enough defense. I think not having Rui Hachimura in the starting lineup, I think will expose Rui Hachimura if he's coming off the bench, because I just don't know how Rui Hachimura is going to do when there's more attention on him. I'm not telling you that this is the perfect starting five, but let me kind of give my case here. The Lakers are not going to start the season with Austin Reaves on the bench. They're just not going to. I think for a number of reasons. All right, let me just kind of lay out a little bit of why I don't think Austin Reaves is going to be coming off the bench. Number one, Austin Reaves is too good of a player to come off the bench. He just is. He's too talented of a player. I saw this stat. This is a wild stat, but I think it's important to point out. I was reading an article. I think it was in the LA Times today. Austin Reaves is entering this season as one of just 13 players, along with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jason Tatum, James Harden, LeBron James, Damian Lillard, Tyler Hero, Luka Doncic, Cade Cunningham, De'Aaron Fox, and LaMelo Ball, to average at least 20 points, 5.5 assists, and 4.5 rebounds per game. I don't think the Lakers are bringing AR off the bench. So even if I think, hey, in a perfect world, in a perfect scenario, it's the right thing to do for the team, they'll have another attacker coming off the bench, blah, blah, blah. I don't think he's coming off the bench. I don't think Pelinka's going to allow that. I don't think JJ Redick is going to allow it. I think he's going to be in the starting lineup. If he's going to be in the starting lineup, then you got a decision to make. You can't have another big that's in your starting lineup other than LeBron and DeAndre Ayton. You have to have somebody that can guard somebody from the backcourt. So what are your options left? If Austin Reaves is going to start, you're not putting Austin Reaves and Luka Doncic in the backcourt. You just can't do that. I mean, it's just, obviously what the Minnesota Timberwolves did to the Lakers, that's one example. I will say this, and I think a lot of people don't like this, but Lakers also didn't have a big. They didn't have a center, so no matter what they did, I don't think it was going to work. But you can't have Luka and AR in your backcourt. So now you got to find a player that's not 6'10" or whatever the case is, whatever the size Rui Hachimura is, to guard somebody in your backcourt. And I think the only two options that you have is Vando or Marcus Smart. All right, if I got to pick between those two players, I have seen Jared Vanderbilt be an absolute pest on the defensive side of the ball and raise hell for a lot of these phenomenal guards that are out there, guys like Steph Curry and Ja Morant, and go down the list of the great point guards that you have in the NBA or backcourt players you have in the I'm just listing guys. James Harden, Jamal Murray. There's a lot of good players in the Western Conference. De'Aaron Fox now in San Antonio. I don't know how healthy Marcus Smart is. I love the concept of Marcus Smart, but I don't think you're getting the Marcus Smart from the Boston Celtics days. So the way I look at this is the best option that you have. If you're going to start Luka and you're going to start AR, the best option that you have is you put Jared Vanderbilt in your starting lineup and you let Vando go try to deal with one of these players. AR's in your backcourt with Vando on defense. Luka's got good enough size where he can go guard one of these wing players. You got enough size and rebounding because Luka can rebound and has good size. LeBron obviously can rebound and has good size. Ayton's got good size and can rebound as well. And Vando will crash the glass as well. That, to me, is the best balance that you have with all these scenarios that are out there for the Lakers to start the 2025-2026 season. I'm not telling you it's perfect, but what I will tell you, this will allow you coming off the bench. It's not a bad bench that you could kind of lean towards once the season starts as well. You'll have Marcus Smart coming off the bench. You'll have Jake LaRavia coming off the bench. You'll have Rui Hachimura coming off the bench. You'll have Jackson Hayes coming off the bench. You can be a little creative in how you have some of these bench players come in. I mean, Gabe Vincent technically coming off the bench. You really don't have a phenomenal ball handler, but you can kind of stagger when Luka comes out, when Reaves comes out. So one of those guys can be a little bit more of the quarterback. That's the best I got. Of all the scenarios, I think for the Lakers from a starting perspective, I think this is the five to me that makes the most sense. Guys, training camp hasn't even started. We'll see how it looks. We'll see what they eventually throw out there. But I don't want to not have Rui Hachimura I don't want to put Rui Hachimura in the starting lineup because he's more comfortable with that. I don't want to have Austin Reaves come off the bench if I already know the Lakers are going to have him start. And I think you got enough, obviously, offensively there. And then defensively, I think you got a little bit of balance with some size and guys that can rebound. So that's my take on the starting lineup. And part of this, I mentioned this on Friday, but when I was having a conversation with Trevor Lane about it last week, I did a podcast with him on Lakers Nation. That idea and that concept came up, and I'm like, all right, well, okay, you start moving Luka around. You don't have Luka guarding one of these guards. You have Austin Reaves guarding the second best guard of that backcourt. Then you kind of take your chances from there. So let me read what people what they have to say, and if people agree with this or if they disagree. Let's see what we got here. Okay, a lot of people giving. Let's not forget Rui went overseas to train. Sumo has to improve his balance and toughness. Yeah, I have seen. I have definitely seen some photos out there. Rui Hachimura looks like he's in great shape. Looks like he's ready to go, and he looks like he can be definitely be ready for this upcoming season. My only problem with Rui is like hot and cold. One day you're like, wow, look at Rui Hachimura. He's playing great. And then another game, I'm like, I forgot Rui was in the game. And Rui also, for his size, just doesn't rebound enough. I mean, Rui's got to do more from that perspective. Brian completely agrees with me. Damn, Sliwa, don't make me buy into this Vando BS. Was I selling a timeshare there? I'm like, no, trust me. Listen. You get this timeshare 2 weeks out of the month. All it's going to cost you is $1,800 a week. All right. Let me see what we got here. If the Lakers had a stretch five, sure, you could start Vando, but Vando would still get played off the floor in the playoffs. So there's that. Okay, but, we all understand this. You got to have balance in that starting lineup. Even if guys are playing off Vando, which I know that would happen in the playoffs. By the way, here's the beauty. We don't have to worry about the playoffs right now. All we got to worry about is the regular season, preseason of what's exactly in front of the Lakers right now. But at the same time, I think there is a little bit of, you're going to have some time to figure things out of whether it's good or it's not. I disagree. Luka and AR can play the backcourt together. Let's see what quicker Luka and healthy AR can do. AR got time because of his D. Yeah, I don't think, if you think something's going to significantly change because Luka got healthier and AR, or not just healthier, but in much better shape, and AR is, listen, I never question Austin Reaves from the perspective of, is the effort there? It's just he's slower than most of the players in the NBA, and the players that are most explosive and the quickest in the NBA are usually in the backcourt. So those I don't think are going to change. Luka, Reaves, Jake, LBJ, and Ayton's putting Jake LaRavia. I don't know what we're going to do about. I don't know what happens in that situation as far as defensively. I don't think it's going to get better. So you want small forward Luka. I want small forward Luka on defense. I want Luka guarding basically the worst player that's on the floor. That's who I want Luka guarding. And typically, if it's a bigger player, I'm okay with that as well because Luka's got the size. What Luka doesn't want is players that are what he doesn't want is players that are too big. Or I'm sorry, too small. Okay, let's keep moving with some of the conversation here. I appreciate it. You guys throw in your comments. So you're listening to this live. Awesome. Throw in your comments. But I know a lot of other people are also going to watch this a little bit later. I'll cut this clip and then they're going to have their opinions on it. So I'll see every starting lineup there. I don't like agreeing with you. It's okay. Even if you don't. Oh, no, I think that one's for Brian. I was going to say, even if you don't agree with me, you can just pretend that, even if you agree with me, you could pretend that you don't agree with me. Okay, this is actually a perfect transition. Perfect transition as far as my next topic, because was this yesterday or Saturday? No, Saturday. So Saturday, I'm driving around, I'm running a couple errands. And I'm listening to NBA Sirius XM. And I don't know the show right off the top of my head, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. It might have been weekend programming, or they might have been playing some of the programming they were playing during the week. I'm listening to Sirius NBA XM, Sirius XM NBA channel. And here was the conversation. Conversation they were having was on Austin Reaves. Guys, I might be doing something that I might be leaning towards a direction that I think a lot of Laker fans have been asking me to kind of shift towards. And I think I've been maybe stubborn for a couple of reasons. I think part of the reason why I'm stubborn on it is because I just don't I don't think the Lakers are going to do it. But I think I'm more open to the conversation now than I've ever been. Let me play out some options for Austin Reaves. And you guys can tell me what of these options to you makes the most sense for the Lakers. All right. And this is just specific on Austin Reaves. Of all the different scenarios that are out there, which of these options makes the most sense for Austin Reaves? Take a sip of my coffee here. Okay. What's the best idea for Austin Reaves? Let me throw out scenario number one. You keep Reaves this season. Just keep him all season. You don't do anything. You just let Austin Reaves kind of play out the year and just try to see how it all looks. I'm talking about forget the trade deadline. Let him play out his final year with the Los Angeles Lakers. And then, obviously in the summer, you got some decisions to make and you're going to have some stiff competition on Austin Reaves. You are. I thought I read something. I read it a couple different times, and I know you guys are going to think this is crazy, but it's not crazy. Austin Reaves is not only going to make north of $30 million a year, he's probably going to make north of $35 million a year. He's going to be right in that range. Say between $30 and $40 million a year is where Austin Reaves is going to be. Scenario number one is Lakers keep Austin Reaves all season, and they just kind of try to see how it all goes and then take their chances in the summer of potentially re-signing him and know that there's going to be competition out there for Austin Reaves' services. Okay? That's one scenario. All right. Here's another one. Another scenario is you keep Austin Reaves. You play out, obviously, the season with Luka Doncic specifically, and you try to see if you can kind of come to terms with Austin Reaves. I guess you could call it internally on a number. Austin Reaves doesn't want to go anywhere. Austin Reaves gave the Lakers basically a discount in the first contract that he signed. And the reason why he didn't sign that 4-year, $89 million is from a business perspective, he'd be leaving enough money on the table where he can't do it. But there has been no indication that Austin Reaves doesn't want to remain a Los Angeles Laker. The scenario that I think most people have been trying to push me towards, which I think as I sit here today, I understand it. And it might just be the reality of the Lakers situation. Doesn't it feel like if you want to build the right roster around Luka Doncic, probably the only way of doing this is you're going to have to eventually trade Austin Reaves? Does it feel that way? I was listening to the NBA channel on Sirius XM. The conversation they were having is, how can you properly build around Luka without using Austin Reaves as a trade piece? In order to get the absolute most out of Luka Doncic and this Lakers team and the roster that you're looking for, isn't the best asset you have Austin Reaves? Isn't that your asset? Again, I'm not telling you go trade him for pennies on the dollar. I'm not telling you shop Austin Reaves, because here's the beauty with Austin Reaves. He's got value in the league. And the only problem with Austin Reaves is he's on a team with Luka Doncic. The only problem with Austin Reaves is the Lakers have these holes. And in order for them to build the right team around Luka, aren't you just eventually going to have to shop Austin Reaves and get the type of player that needs to stand next to Luka Doncic, and then eventually, depending on what LeBron does, go get another big-time player that can come to the Lakers and you continue to build from there. If I told you guys, let me give you a prototypical player, forget the conversation about a big right now, but let's just, who can play next to Luka Doncic in the backcourt? If I said, or even a wing player that kind of can play the 2 or the 3 or whatever the case is. In an ideal situation, you got a 6'8", 6'9" dude that plays both sides of the ball, can guard multiple positions, can hit 3-pointers. Wouldn't you say that's probably the perfect complement next to Luka? So I'm listening to these guys on NBA Sirius XM, and I hear these guys saying that kind of similar to what I'm saying. If I'm going to be honest with you, they were selling me a little bit here. What they were selling, and I heard them throwing out names. What about RJ Barrett? What about, and they were kind of just, lobbing some different names out there. But I think the foundation of what they were talking about was, if the Lakers are going to have the type of success and build for the future with Luka, and looking at the assets the Lakers have, doesn't Reaves just have to become a trade asset? And by the way, wherever he ends up, if Reaves is with the right team, and I'm going to give you guys one scenario here because it was a story that came out, an NBA writer threw it out. If he ends up on the right team, Austin Reaves will flourish with the right team, just like he's flourished with the Lakers. But imagine if Reaves is a little bit more of a focal point on offense, and he's got really good defenders around him, and he's got other great offensive players around him, and has rim protectors around him. I mean, unless the Lakers can figure out how to, obviously put all those pieces together, that piece is going to be a little bit of a challenge. So maybe I'm kind of coming around to the scenario. Maybe I'm looking at the Reeves situation because he's on a contract year, because he's probably going to make north of 30, seems like that's no question about it, but even potentially north of $35 million a year. How do you not look at Austin Reaves? Now, when Reaves was here with Anthony Davis and he's here with Max Christie and things along those lines, I think it's a different topic. But once they obviously traded for Luka, if all your attention is on Luka, if everything you do moving forward is about building around Luka, don't you feel like you got to use Reaves to accomplish that goal of getting what you need around Luka? Let's take a look at some of the comments here. Let's take a look at what people are saying here. All right, let's read this one here. Slee, my opinion, the ceiling of AR is Ginobili type player, and he comes off the bench. Manu became a Hall of Famer doing that. All right, let me use this here for a quick second. Okay. Manu Ginobili, as much of a thorn that he was to the Lakers for years with the San Antonio Spurs, was one of my favorite players to watch. So, personally, for me, I don't need an education on Manu Ginobili. I know what a great player he was. The problem is, let me kind of give you guys, and I don't know off the top of my head what Manu Ginobili was making back in the day, what percentage Manu Ginobili was making of their salary cap. I don't know what that is, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. But here's what I will tell you. Are you bringing a player off the bench that's making $35 million a year? Are you? $35 million a year, are you bringing him off the bench? I don't know if the Lakers are doing that. And I'm not, listen, I've said this before. The only way I think you could have AR and Luka together, the rest of your lineup must be perfect. And let's not forget, Manu Ginobili was an absolute Hall of Famer. Austin Reaves hasn't even made an All-Star game yet. So I get what people are saying is, hey, that player came off the bench, so can this player. I don't think we're comparing apples to apples here. Let me get a couple more comments in here. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, that's not happening. Jalen Williams is that dude's got a chance to be a bona fide star. So let's see what we got here. My argument would be, is AR's representation not going to sense blood in the air and just not re-sign? Well, nothing can happen Obviously they're going to wait till the offseason. I was reading some article on Jonathan Kuminga just because of everything going on with him. About 10 teams are going to have some good cap space next year. AR is going to be, listen, if AR hits the open market, be a lot of teams interested in Austin Reaves. No question about that. Don't doubt that for a second, that a lot of teams would not be interested in Austin Reaves. Jesus, a lot of people have been saying this all summer. I guess I'm just coming around to it. I've seen people saying it, but I think I'm really, truly starting to understand. I don't know what the alternative path is. I don't know. I don't. No way, Slee. A guy that doesn't play defense but is a playmaker and averages 20 points a game, $25 million per year tops. Peter, if it was $25 million a year tops, if they thought that's what the market was going to be, and he turned down 4 years, $89 million, we're talking about $2.5 million difference, maybe $2.75 million difference a year over 4 years. If he thought the top he can get was $25 million a year, why would you risk injury, bad season, all that stuff? Why don't you just go grab your four years, $89 million then? Are you going to let $2.75 million a year and all the risks that comes with it be the difference? I don't think so. But I think they think $10 million a year is the difference. Then I think they're going to say, we're going to pump the brakes. So I don't think it's 25. And Peter, that's not an opinion. That's what the market's telling you. I mean, you could go outside and go see a beat up house in some neighborhood in Southern California and say, that house is not worth $900,000. It's only got 1,200 square feet. But down the street, if the house sold with less square footage for $950,000, then that house is worth north of $900,000. That's just what the market is. That's what the market is. All right, let's see a couple more of these here, and then I want to get into a specific trade that was thrown out there. Rui won't get pushed around the season in the paint. He'll improve as well. I hope so. I don't know how much I believe that, but I hope so. So we'll see what happens in regards to that. All right, let's do this. I got a trade scenario that I got to read here that somebody's already thrown out there, and I got to be honest with you, it's an interesting trade scenario. Before I do so, shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Injury attorney here representing the entire state of California. This is the start. Technically, today is the start of year number 2 of this partnership on this YouTube channel with Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Shout out to him. Thank you for him to continue to support the channel. Here's what I want to do for Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. I want to make sure that if there's a listener on here, whether you're watching this live, recorded, whatever the case is, if someone, a part of your family, a family member, yourself, whatever the situation is, has been involved in a serious injury or a wrongful death case, please. There is no better trial lawyers. There's no better injury attorneys out there than Brad Wallace and his team. You can go to our website, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Go to the website, kind of fill out a little questionnaire there. I've told you guys this before. Anybody wants to email me personally and say, Al, I've heard you talk about Brad Wallace. Can you make a personal introduction to Brad Wallace? I'm dealing with this situation. I'll be happy to do so. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Year number 2 of our partnership. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. I appreciate their support. And again, all I ask you guys here, I know I hope you guys never need him. But if something does happen, something does go down, and you just want to have an opportunity for a free consultation, here's your information here, a phone number there, and then wallacewins.com/Sliwa. So thank you to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. NBA, there was an NBA writer that I got to throw out this. I got to throw out this scenario that he threw out there. Okay. And you guys can tell me, and this one will be fresh for everybody because the Lakers lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Obviously, that happened in the playoffs. NBA writer, longtime NBA writer, Tom Ziller, threw out a trade scenario that he thinks works great for both teams. Okay? The Lakers making a trade with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I'll tell you the names that are involved. First, let me just say this. I don't know if the noise is going to get louder as the season begins. I don't want anybody to think that I'm trying to disrespect what Austin Reaves has been for a Laker, how good he's been for the Lakers. I think really the conversation has more to do with, can you win long-term with Luka and AR, or are you better off trying to find the perfect prototypical type of player that can be with Luka Doncic? And then, you still got to go out and get another star. We'll keep that in the back end there because nothing's going to happen today or tomorrow. Here's what here's the trade that Tom Ziller put out there. Should I share this with everybody? Let's share it with everybody. I think sometimes when we share this, these are funner to do it this way. Okay, let me share this with everybody, and then you guys can see it as we go. Share screen. Here is what we got. Okay, here's what we got here. Okay, take a look here. Tell me if you guys see this. The trade Tom Ziller is putting out there from NBA.com. The Minnesota Timberwolves get Austin Reaves and Jared Vanderbilt. The Lakers get Jaden McDaniels. Don't pay attention to Joe Ingles, probably just to make contracts work. But they get Jaden McDaniels. Kind of interesting. I'm not gonna lie to anyone. I think it's interesting. The case he's making in his article is the Lakers get that 6'9", that player that can play both sides of the ball. Jaden McDaniels can hit threes, can guard the best player on opposing team. And the Lakers got to give up some great value for it, obviously, in Austin Reaves. What do the Minnesota Timberwolves get in return? They get a second scorer that they need right next to Anthony Edwards. And by the way, I mentioned this, why something like this would be also, for Austin Reaves. Is there a scenario for Austin Reaves where he can be in a situation where he could just kind of do his work? Look at the help he'll have on the defensive side. He'll have big guys. He'll have certainly have help with Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle. Anthony Edwards is a good defender. It's an interesting trade. I'm not telling you the Lakers are going to go do it. I'm not telling you that the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to go do it. But this is the type of trade that I think opens up the eyes for Laker fans out there, that if you're looking at different scenarios out there, is a player like Jaden McDaniels, is that the answer for the Lakers? And are you willing to give up the best trade asset that you have in Austin Reaves for a player like Jaden McDaniels? So that was one of the scenarios that was thrown out there. And I wanted to share that with everybody. Let's take a look at everybody's comments. Let's get everybody's thoughts on all of this. I know either people are saying now, there's no way Lakers trade Austin Reaves, or maybe there's some interest in a trade like this. Let's see what people got. Wolves just cooked AR. Doubt they will do it. But they need a player like AR. McDaniels is just starting to come into his own as a scorer. He's a nice player. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I really like Jaden McDaniels. He's a lockdown defender. He's got great size. I will tell you, in a perfect world, that's the type of player Luka has in the backcourt with him. So just to kind of keep it, fair here, that's the type of player that they want with him. Wolves ain't doing that. Hell no. So some people say Wolves ain't doing it. Other people say Lakers not doing it. Let's see what we got here. Some kinds of CNA hates Luka and thus his desire for Braun to leave the Lakers. I don't know that. Reaves signs. Okay. Let's hope that one doesn't happen. Let's read another one here. People acting like he's an all-star player, but he's not. Yes, some nights he puts up good numbers, but he can be easily shut down by good defenders like Edwards in the playoffs. I think you're talking specifically about Austin Reaves. Let's get another couple more in here. It has to be a sign and trade. No way a team takes the expiring contract risk. You're not wrong. It would be some type of scenario built for that, or it would be the understanding that, hey, if we make this trade, let's make sure that Austin Reaves and his agent are cool to play in Minnesota for the next 4 years, because if we trade Jaden McDaniels, we know he's going to be around for years to come. Get him off the roster before you have to pay him. You can't give Austin Reaves up for singular value. It needs to be a haul for pieces. Yeah, I will tell you the one thing that I think some people out there might have a hesitation with Austin Reaves. What's his cost going to be in the market? So, if you are trading for him, then you definitely feel like that's a missing piece. That's a guy that we have. That's kind of a foundational piece that you want to have on your roster and for your team. Okay, great stuff right there. I wanted to get through all those topics. We were able to do so, and at least we got some good topics that we're hitting on here, even on September 29th. I still got a lot of stuff that I want to do, so I'm gonna hold off on DeAndre Ayton. Let's leave that one alone. Maybe I get some more information today. I'll probably kind of gear towards Ayton, definitely with a question later today, because I do want to kind of see where his head's at. So we'll wait for Ayton later in the week, maybe tomorrow or later in the week. I got some NBA news I want to hit on for everybody. Then we got the weekend recap, and then we're going to call it a day. I'm going to head down to a training camp. After this, I'm going to head down to media day. Okay, some NBA news here. Man, where are you guys on Jonathan Kuminga? I am team Jonathan Kuminga all the way. All right, I read this this morning. Kuminga won't appear at media day as deadline looms. Okay, what's the deadline? By the way, this article, I want to read you guys one piece of this. This is an article on ESPN. All right, I'm a little confused with the wording here. I mean, is this an opinion piece or is it just given the facts? Kuminga did not travel to San Francisco this weekend and won't be in attendance for Monday's media day, league sources told ESPN. Golden State Warriors general manager Mike Dunleavy Jr. made contact with Kuminga's agent, Aaron Turner, on Sunday, but there's no momentum towards Kuminga's contract or return prior to team. Let me read the piece that I'm talking about. The Warriors have kept their 3 outstanding offers on the table, sources said. Who said they're outstanding? Does Jonathan Kuminga think they're outstanding? I just, that word. How about the Warriors have kept their offers on the table, sources said. But the fact that they're saying outstanding offers, I don't think these are outstanding for Jonathan Kuminga. The 2 most lucrative, 2 years, $45 million, 3 years, $75 million, include team options on the final season. Really, the sticking point for Jonathan Kuminga is he doesn't want the team to have an option. He wants to have a player option, not the team. So what does this mean? It means that Kuminga's greatest level of leverage in these negotiations is the 1-year, $8 million qualifying offer, which expires on Wednesday at midnight Eastern. Kuminga would willingly be giving up $15.3 million extra next season, but he can also become an unrestricted free agent in 2026. I got to be honest with everybody. I'm team Kuminga here all the way. And I don't know. I feel like the Golden State Warriors are not valuing him as much as they should. I think it's been very odd the way Steve Kerr has played this dude, and it's clear that he doesn't want to be a Golden State Warrior. I hope Kuminga doesn't sign anything. I hope he gets to a position where he can be an unrestricted free agent next year, and then we'll see what the team eventually has. I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you, but Jonathan Kuminga, I kind of understand his position on this. And I know they want him to kind of sit in line and just, quietly just do what the team is asking him to do. But at the same time, I feel like the man's got some leverage and he feels like there's a lot of teams. He wants to have a bigger role, and I don't think it's going to happen with the Golden State Warriors. All right, let me read a couple of these comments here. Warriors talk too much about how they're light years ahead of everyone, so I'm team dysfunction as far as the Warriors go. Let's see what we got here. Kuminga should never sign a contract with them again. Doesn't feel like that's going to happen. It does not feel like that's going to happen. Okay, let's get another one in these here. I hope Kuminga. All right. Okay. So I just, that's some different topics and stories that obviously are going on around Jonathan Kuminga. A couple more NBA stories I got here. Al Horford, they were all waiting here to sign because of Kuminga's situation. Al Horford, it tends to sign a multi-year contract with the Warriors, leaving the Celtics. Let's see what else we got here. I actually think that's a good signing for them. I don't think he can actually officially sign his contract until everything gets figured out. I think there are a couple other players. I got this here. Let me get the other 2 players. Gary Payton II, DeAnthony Melton also are agreeing to terms with the Golden State Warriors. So they've all just been waiting to see what eventually happens with Jonathan Kuminga, but expect all those players to be there. Another NBA story that I saw here, no return timeline set for the 76ers stars Joel Embiid and Paul George. Man, I don't know what's going to happen with the Philadelphia 76ers. I hate injuries. I feel bad for injuries, but Philly is in an awful, awful position. Let me read here one quote. This is Embiid said he feels pretty good, taking it day by day. There's not necessarily an expectation. It's more about making sure everything is right and doing everything right and then go from there. Obviously, the goal is to play consistently and not be in the position that we were last year. So Embiid only played 19 games last year. We'll see what, Paul George's situation is as well. But both of those players, there is no timetable for both of those guys to come back. And, obviously we'll see what eventually happens. But it seems like Philly is in a nightmare scenario as far as their stars go and how they can compete in the Eastern Conference. Last NBA story that I got here, Jason Tatum had posted something on his YouTube page. Do you guys know that? Obviously, we know that he's got the surgery for the ruptured Achilles tendon, suffered it during the playoffs. Do you know what? This guy's already back on the court. And it doesn't mean that this guy is, he's going to be playing this upcoming season. I don't know what he's going to be doing. But apparently he has targeted a date that he wants to come back. But in his video, he's deadlifting weight. He's doing some on-court dribbling. He's doing shooting and running drills. Tatum's already on the floor. Now, you would think that it would take him a full year to recover. We'll see what eventually happens. I guess some of his motivation was how quick KD came back. So we'll see what eventually happens on that. But Jason Tatum already making some strides and trying to work his way back on the court. Again, I don't know when it's going to actually happen, but just the fact that he's already moving at this pace is pretty crazy, if you ask me. Okay, I got a weekend recap that I want to get into. So let me just kind of go over a couple of the things. What a great weekend in sports. I mean, a really, really good weekend in sports. Let me find this. There we go. Let me start with Major League Baseball. So the playoff schedule is out. There was still a lot that was getting figured out over the weekend. This is what we got. Detroit ends up making the playoffs. Detroit at Cleveland tomorrow at 10 a.m. By the way, pretty cool. You wake up in the morning. You got games starting at 10 a.m. and they'll go through all the night for at least these first couple of days. So the wild card round is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's best of three, so whatever happens, obviously they're all played in one home field. Detroit at Cleveland at 10 a.m. Padres at the Chicago Cubs starting tomorrow at noon. Already nervous for that one. Boston at New York. How cool is that? By the way, these are all really good matchups. Detroit at Cleveland should be a good matchup. Padres at Chicago. To be honest with you, I think it's a phenomenal matchup. I think coin flip, but we'll see what happens. Boston at New York in a wild card series. That's great as well. Cincinnati, who had to finish the season off so well, the collapse of the New York Mets take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's a 6 p.m. first pitch. Obviously the Dodgers will be heavy favorites, but it's best of three. Anything can happen. The way their starting rotation is lined up as well, I'd be expecting them to be moving on. Okay, so that's what you got from an MLB schedule perspective. Wild card will start tomorrow. Should be really, really fun. Okay, NFL games over the weekend. Why are we still doing ties? Anybody watching Sunday Night Football yesterday? Packers and the Cowboys finished the game 40-40. I mean, should we have ties? I don't know. Flip a coin at the end. I don't. It just can maybe play it out like college football. I can't watch a tie. I just cannot watch a tie in the NFL. Just it makes no sense to me that there's a tie. Imagine in basketball, Lakers and the Warriors. The game finishes 118, and everybody goes home. A tie? All right, there was a tie yesterday. I think there's only, after yesterday, some pretty good games. Rams end up beating the Colts. Let's see what we got here. Eagles, and I want to say, is it Eagles and Buffalo, the only two teams that are 4-0? I think those are the only two teams that are 4-0. Yeah, Bills are 4-0. Eagles are 4-0 up to this point. But some really good NFL games yesterday. If you're looking for some Monday Night Football tonight, you get two of them: Jets, Dolphins, Bengals, and the Broncos. So those are your two NFL games. And then the last thing that I'm going to mention, and I was trying to tell everybody, college football over the weekend. I told everybody, just sit on your ass over the weekend and watch some college football. There were some really, really good games. What was it? Ohio State beating Washington, Oregon winning in double overtime against Penn State, 30-24. Number 6 versus number 3 was great. Couple really good SEC games, Ole Miss and LSU. Ole Miss wins. Alabama beats Georgia 24-21. I don't know. The way the college football is set up right now is phenomenal. SC loses. SC cracked the top 25, and then right when they crack it, they're like, okay, let's get the hell out of here. We're uncomfortable with being in the top 25. They lose to the Illini. Illinois beats them 34-32. So I did look to see the college football rankings. Top 5 right now in the country: Ohio State 1, Oregon 2, Miami 3, Ole Miss 4, and Oklahoma number 5. So if you're a college football fan, you had a good time over the weekend. All right, let me read a couple of the comments. We'll call it a day, and then I'll start working my way as well towards El Segundo. All right, let me do this. Throw this back up. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of the recap, I guess you can call it, and giving your opinions here. Okay, let's see what we got. They should go back and forth from the 2 until someone scores. Yeah, kind of go back to what I was saying a little bit earlier. Can we just not have a tie? I just can't do ties. I mean, in football, we can't have ties in football. I would not play for Golden State. They have treated this man like he's garbage. Total respect. I'm with you guys on that. I mean, I'm not one as far as, the kind of the way the Warriors, and Warriors could say, hey, this is just business. But if you're going to just do this whole business, don't be upset at players looking at the other side and saying, cool, well, it's all business for me as well. Jonathan Kuminga is treating this like a business, as is the Golden State Warriors, and we'll see what eventually comes from it. Basketball, too easy to score. They don't need ties. I know. Give me do college then. Do the 2-point conversion at the end. I don't know. Do something. I just can't see a tie. Maybe if it's tied at overtime, I don't know. Do you do inside the 10-yard line, each team gets a ball? I don't have a solution for you. I'm just telling you that having a tie just seems awkward and odd. All right, my people. That's all I got for today. I really, really appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Thank you for hanging out. We are back now Monday through Friday, like I mentioned. And I'm looking forward to coming on the show tomorrow morning as well. I'll take off. We'll see what we get from Media Day today. I don't plan on doing anything. I'm going to save whatever, comes out from today. I'm going to save that till tomorrow. So I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Get the hell out of here. Go enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.